Hey guys, Dantix here, back with some more Borderlands 4 info. We've got a ton to get through today, so let's get right into it. There's even more good news about Ordnance. For those who don't know, instead of getting a grenade slot, in which grenades will have limited ammo, we get an Ordnance slot. In this, you can put various heavy weapons like miniguns and rocket launchers, as well as powerful throwing knives and grenades, and instead of needing ammo, each has its own cooldown based on the weapon's stats. This works really well in practice because you don't feel limited in using your powerful options, as you won't need to save any ammo for a rainy day, and the cooldowns are relatively fast. But according to the lead character designer on Borderlands 4, anything that's Ordnance does Ordnance damage unless explicitly stated otherwise. Yes, that means heavy weapons do Ordnance damage and gun damage at the same time, meaning that those Ordnance damage upgrades you see in my skill tree breakdown videos are a build in themselves. You could very well build around cooldown reductions and Ordnance damage and spend a majority of your time burning through enemies with a heavy cannon or nades. Both Rafa and Vex have builds focusing around boosting this damage, and I'm sure Harlow and Amon will as well. Like mentioned, when it comes to Ordnance guns, they get boosted by the Ordnance boost and by the gun damage boost as well, and I foresee your heavy weapons getting up to nutty levels of output. From my testing on a level 20 character without a dedicated build and without legendaries, these heavy weapons were much stronger than the epic guns I had, dealing nearly double the DPS. Note that throwing knives will be Ordnance damage as well, not melee. Also, that action skills are the same, always dealing action skill damage alongside whatever else they say. This means that anything that boosts action skill damage will always boost their output. Rafa's melee focus action skill, Arc Knives, will get boosted to melee, so there will be multiple sources per instance of damage, but it's not that hard to understand. Your damage output will be determined by multiple boosts. Thanks to Reddit user WiggyBoy64, we know that the Hellwalker will be returning. I made a build video on the original Hellwalker, and being a massive Doom fan myself, I'm extremely excited to hear this beast. Yes, hear it. Overall, you can see a lot of love being put into weapon design in Borderlands 4. Look at this weapon thanks to JoltsDude139, the Playful Roach. It shrinks itself down to look like the noisy cricket from Men in Black. Playful Roach, noisy cricket, it's definitely intended. But think of how many guns you could carry in real life if you shrunk them all down like this. We also got to look at Amon and Harlow thanks to a Game Informer article. Amon is a run and gun straight into battle type of person. He's our brute. He's the one with high health, damage, and a lot of melee attacking, but of course, he has guns, so you can do both. Amon's action skills lean heavier into melee and projectile gameplay, and his trait allows him to have a second action skill associated with each primary one. The Crucible allows him to throw elemental axes at his enemy, with its secondary action skill giving him a multi-elemental throw. Meanwhile, his Onslaughter action skill gives him a powerful flaming punch, with a secondary action skill seeing him slam a hammer into the ground, dealing fiery AoE damage. His most unique action skill could very well be Scourge, where he summons a shield that can absorb damage, then pay it back to enemies with a projectile whip. In Scourge, he could also spawn a wall of fire that blocks incoming enemy fire and provides cover for you and your team. What's interesting about Amon is he's probably our most elemental-based character. I know in the past Sirens have been the touch point for elemental gameplay, but Amon has more of a focus on elements than even Vex, our Siren. This is saying a lot considering Vex's trait lets all her action skills deal the current element of the gun you have equipped. But from the gameplay, it indeed seemed like Amon focused on elements, especially fire and ice. We can see this with the Fiery Elementalist Forge Knight class mod and its obvious Earth, Wind and Fire quote. This gives Amon a huge affinity focus on elemental damage. Like they mentioned, it's obvious that this is your brute character, a tank, getting close, dish out pain kind of guy. But no doubt with around 100 skills across 3 trees, there will be multiple builds that encourage other types of gameplay. I'm hoping for an Ordnance focus. Here we see one of the action skills thanks to For Beyond the Borderlands on YouTube. When Amon activates an action skill, he spawns a sword forge drone that attacks nearby enemies for a duration, dealing shock melee damage. Activating an action skill while active partially restores the duration of all forge drones, so you can get multiple. I'm not sure if these pets follow you around and attack enemies or are stationary, or are suicidal drones that Borderlands is known for, but my assumption is they follow you around, and Amon has other skills that buff these up as well. But now let's move on to Harlow. Harlow's abilities center around a mechanic called entanglement. When enemies are afflicted with this rainbow glowing ailment, damage dealt to one spreads to impact all enemies currently entangled. Her action skills apply it in various ways. With 0 point, Harlow can use telekinesis style powers to lift an enemy off its feet and suspend it in mid-air. Then Harlow can slam the affected enemy into objects, the ground, and even other enemies, with any enemy hit by the floater also impacted by the entanglement. Her Chroma Accelerator action skill lets her charge up an explosive, unstable energy pocket that fires forward, entangling any enemy caught in the line of fire or the enormous radius. Finally, Flux Generator sees Harlow drop a pulse mine that entangles any creature caught in the wide radius. She's crowd control, and there are a lot of augments and abilities that will help you when you have co-op partners with entanglement. If I entangle enemies, that's a signal to my co-op buddies. Hey, look over there, there's someone who's susceptible, but you can take it and slam it on each of the individual people, and now while everyone else is shooting at them, everybody's sharing the damage and they're all going to die. I thoroughly enjoyed Harlow's entanglement abilities, though I love feeling like a Jedi as I lifted an enemy into the sky, slamming them as I continue blasting away with my rifle. Nothing topped the satisfaction of detonating a massive explosion to wipe a corner of the map. When you combine the wide radius of pulse mine with a strong gun, Harlow proves to be a one-woman wrecking crew for big crowds pretty quickly. Now, we have seen some of her abilities, but I feel like she, more than any of the Vault Hunters, will need you to play her to truly enjoy her power. Picking up and slamming enemies around like a Jedi would feel better in practice than it looks on a short gameplay reveal. Entanglement also is incredibly powerful, and I'm not sure exactly how they'll balance it, especially in co-op. There's no way those who are entangled share 100% of the damage, else it would be ridiculous. We'll just have to wait and see the skill trees, as I feel it will start off as a low shared amount, but can be boosted with skill investment. At any rate, she feels more magey than the Siren, as all of her abilities are focused around crowd control and damage, whereas Vex is a 60% minion focus, so she's like a warlock if anything else. The rest of the article explains how hard it's going to be to pick a main, and I have to agree with them. I still don't know who to choose, but I'm curious as to what you're going to pick, so let me know below. A build example is to focus on overshields. Both Vex and Rafa have ways of building overshield, and you can see that in my skill tree and builds breakdown videos. With the legendary that Moxie found, I got, you can fire a powerful beam that eats your shield to put out more damage unless you have an overshield. With the overshield up, you put out extra damage, but you don't deplete your shield. This is the perfect gun for builds that get more powerful with overshields. One such skill is Corporeal, which gives Vex and her minions a boost to overshields, but more importantly, while she has an overshield, her and her minions gain 30% increased damage dealt, so it's obviously insane with this gun. Now, thanks to Tweety Expert on Twitch, we've realized that the grappling hook has a lot more uses than previously thought. It can also be used to fish. So you don't need a quick time event to fish, you can just find the spot and activate. You need to then catch the items to receive it, so activate the grappling hook while the items are in the air, else they seem to be gone once they fall in the water. So if you see a rare gun, grab it quick and avoid the junk. It seems like a bit of fun to pass the time. So we know there's a storage deck upgrade section of your menu where you can increase the storage of various things like the amount of ammo you can bring to a fight. It's also confirmed that you'll be getting STU tokens for these upgrades from completing activities like capturing safe houses or silos. Some collectibles also award tokens. The game is balanced such that you'll have plenty of inventory even if you have no interest in finding and doing everything. This also means you won't need to save up millions of dollars of cash to get upgrades, which is a relief from Borderlands 3. The Twitter banter between Bird and Grant reveals there might be a viable Thorns build in the game, though Grant wasn't willing to share exactly how it's achieved and on who. But we've seen already with the sheer size of the Vault Hunter's skills that there will be tons of ways to play each individual Vault Hunter. So that's everything for today. What do you think? More or less excited for Borderlands 3? Let me know below. For everything Borderlands, you're in the right place. Ciao, friends.